Welcome to Refreshing Delights. I'm your host, Michelle, and I'm here to share my exploration of non-alcoholic beverages or mocktails with you. Like many, I've chosen to eliminate alcohol in the pursuit of a healthier lifestyle, but appreciate they also provide options for those choosing not to drink, for designated drivers, or even expectant parents. Mocktails ensure that everyone at a party or social gathering can raise a glass and join in the celebration. Cocktails and mixology, the art or skill of mixing drinks, has increased in popularity over the past few years and become a part of our culture. Now, with the increase in popularity, numerous alcohol-free alternatives have become readily available. In each of these episodes, we'll explore different flavors achieved by the mixture or blending of ingredients, the techniques used in combining the ingredients, and the presentation of the mocktail through a variety of garnishes and glassware. Welcome to another episode of Refreshing Delights. I'm your host, Michelle. In previous episodes, we worked on building some simple and classic mocktails. On the next couple of episodes, we're going to advance what we already know about mocktails. We're going to explore the sweetening proponent, or the syrups. We're going to expand on our mixology, and for that, we're going to need syrups. So let's get started. So you could go to the store and buy these syrups, but we're going to make our own. You may be asking yourself, why are we going to make our own? Well, there's a few good reasons. The first, of course, is that it's probably a little bit cheaper. The ingredients you can buy and control what's going into them. So many of them will be natural as opposed to the chemicals or additives and preservatives that you'll find in a store-bought. So I prefer to make my own syrups because I can control the sweetness. You'll also find that you're able to create a wider variety. You can choose any of the ingredients that you want. There's many recipes online, and being able to buy that fresh produce ensures that you're getting exactly what you want. You'll find that in stores there aren't many specialty syrups. This way, if you're buying your own ingredients, you can make a wide variety and really make any concoction that you'd like. The only disadvantage to making your own syrups is potentially because they don't have the additives and preservatives of the ones that you'll find in the store. You may find that they don't last as long as you'd like them to, but I would recommend, once you make them, you can always label them. Store-bought syrups oftentimes will last longer than natural or the syrups that you make yourself. I would suggest perhaps minimizing the recipes, which is what I'm going to do today, so that you're not making as much at a time. Also, you can create labels for your syrups so that you know when, and date stamp them so that you know when you made them. Usually they'll have a shelf life of about a month. So we'll start with a couple of simple syrups, and then we'll advance as well so that you have a wide variety of syrups that you can add to your mocktails. So we'll start off with the most versatile syrup, and that's simple syrup. I've got all of the ingredients here, and simple syrup is just that easy to make. It's always a 1-to-1 ratio with 2 ingredients, sugar and water. For this syrup, I've got a cup of water. I've already boiled it, and I've got a cup of sugar. So let's mix them together. First, I'll add my cup of sugar. And then I'll add my cup of water. I prefer to use an electric mixer because I find that it helps mix the sugar very easily. So you just want to move that around. Keep moving it until it looks like the sugar has dissolved, and it will become clear in color. So all you're looking for is that sugar to look dissolved, and then you're done. Looks good, so I'm going to let it sit before I decant it into a smaller container. So we've allowed our simple syrup to cool down, and now we're going to put it into a container. We used a cup of sugar and a cup of water, but obviously some of the sugar is going to dissolve. So I've chosen a container that I'd like to use. I'm going to use a funnel, obviously, because the bowl is a little bit smaller. And we'll just pour that in here. Again, I always label my simple syrup to make sure that I know what date I've made it on. It should have a shelf life of about a month, but again, it never hurts to label all of your simple syrup. And again, that's how easy it is to make simple syrup. So there's our first syrup. Again, simple syrup is used not just in mocktails. You can use it to sweeten up your iced coffee or your coffee. It really is very versatile. So we'll be using a lot of this in the next episode. And simple syrup is used not just in mocktails. You can use it to sweeten up your iced coffee or your coffee. It really is very versatile. And we previously used this in our classic cocktails. But again, now you know how to make your own. You don't need to buy it at the store, and we'll be using this in many of the cocktails in future episodes. Next, we're going to build a rich simple syrup. Instead of using white sugar, we're going to use demerara sugar. The difference between this and a simple syrup is that it's going to be 2 parts sugar and 1 part water. So let's build it. First, I'm going to add my demerara sugar. I've already portioned it out. That's a 1/2 cup. And of course, I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of water. Next, I'm going to take it over and warm it up. You're going to want to warm it up on a medium heat, consistently stirring until, again, the demerara sugar is dissolved. This should take about 10 or 15 minutes. So one way I like to test and see if the sugar is dissolved is just by lifting your spoon. If you can see that the granules are still there, it means that you need to cook it a bit longer. So just keep stirring. So I think our syrup's done here. You notice there's a little bit of film, but it looks like all of the sugar has dissolved. So we're going to remove it from the heat and let it sit to cool down before we put it into a container. Okay, so we've given our rich demerara syrup a chance to cool down. So we're just going to put it into our bottle. It's really dark, rich color. Almost looks like molasses. I think this is really gonna add some texture and some depth to some of the cocktails that we make. Again, can't stress it enough. You're gonna wanna make sure that you put a label on there to let you know when you made this syrup. And there we have it. So the next syrup we're gonna make is the allspice syrup. I've already got all my ingredients laid out. I've boiled my water. Again, it's just an addition or an add-on to the simple syrup that we've made. So we've got 2 teaspoons of allspice. We've got 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we've got 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. We're gonna add those all in our bowl. Again, with the simple syrup, we do the 1-to-1 ratio. So I've got a cup of sugar, a half cup of sugar, and I've got a half cup of water. Once we do that, we're gonna take my electric mixer. Again, you can use a fork or a spoon. We're gonna blend it up. Again, you wanna just make sure that all of the ingredients, especially the sugar, are dissolved. A little harder to tell. Just gonna rub the sides of the bowl a bit here to get some of my spices down into the mixture. And just keep stirring to make sure that everything is dissolved. Again, simple syrup is usually used as a sweetener in many different things. I feel with this allspice, this might actually be a good addition to numerous different mocktails, but you may find this might be a great flavor to add to your coffee or an iced coffee. Okay, I'm just gonna try and get the sides here, make sure that we've got all of the spices mixed. I think we've mixed it for a while, so we should be good to go. Okay, so once you've mixed that, you remove your mixer, and then we're gonna let it sit and cool down for a little bit, and then we will add it to one of our containers. So we've let our allspice syrup cool. I have noticed though that it is quite gritty. So I think the best thing for us to do is strain it. So I'm gonna take a coffee filter. I'm gonna wet it so that the process doesn't take as long. I'm gonna place the wet coffee filter maybe. Open that up. Shake it just a little bit to get any excess water off. I'm going to put that into my container. And I'm going to pour my syrup in here. So this process can actually take a little while, especially with the coffee filter, but I'm hoping that it'll get some of the grit and the residual out of there so that we just have the syrup. So we're gonna let this sit here and we're gonna check on it probably in about 20 minutes to 30 minutes to see if it's had an opportunity to go through. So it looks like we've strained most of the grit out of our allspice simple syrup. You'll be able to see most of the grit in there. So we'll just remove that. Again, we wanna make sure that we do label this to see when we bottled this, and I think we've removed most of the grit. I think we've removed most of the grit. I think a lot of these are gonna be really good cocktails. Reminds me a lot of Thanksgiving and that pumpkin spice. So wow, we've had some great success. We've already made a couple of syrups, so I'd like to continue on and we'll just keep going, adding some complexity to our syrups and even try an infusion. So we've got so many mocktails to try. We've got a little momentum with our syrups. So let's continue on and make a few more. Come back and join me again and we'll make a few more syrups.